representing District 4, Nash, Wilson, Halifax, Vance, and Warren counties. Wanted to speak a little bit about economic development to you this morning. I think it is important to capture the big picture when you look at the tax package and the economic development efforts in the budget. It's really putting middle-class families in a squeeze. On the tax side, we end up paying more, while those who are wealthier get the significant breaks from that tax break package. So on the tax side, we pay more. Now, I don't know whether those people who are getting the breaks are going to give us jobs to help work for them or help them or clean up for them. I don't know how that will trickle down to us, but that's one part of the picture. Then the second part of the picture is these same folks who are getting no benefit from the tax package are getting fired, as teacher assistants, are not getting any raises for the 5th or more year in education and across state government of any significance. And then the programs in terms of economic development that serve these same communities, the minority economic development corporations, the council of governments allocation has been cut for helping these communities, even though they will still exist. That squeeze of paying more taxes, having jobs and services cut. These same families in education will have bigger classrooms, less technology, supplies cut, all of that. Families have got to provide more of that. And then the capacity building and economic and community development organizations that help these communities build capacity are also cut out of the state budget. So these same families are being hurt at every turn. And I haven't even dealt with health, DHHS, and the major cuts in the healthcare and social services arena that will handicap and hurt these same families. So we are being pressed down, hurt, eliminated, and squeezed out of the support that we deserve from government, while families making a whole lot more money are getting many more benefits. So it's just a shift of the benefit and focus of state government to the extreme. When we look at the impact on rural communities, which is another major concern for me, is that dismantling these community development organizations, shifting the golden leaf money completely, recapturing into the general fund the golden leaf money targeted for rural economic development, shutting down the rural center, creating a new government entity, and then shifting the community development block grant funds in the Department of Commerce to a completely job development infrastructure focus is missing the boat on what it takes to create jobs and do economic development in our rural communities and small towns. So just like we're squeezing out the middle class families to support these bigger, more wealthy entities on the tax side, and in the same thing we're doing in economic development is we're focusing on these big players and not seeing what needs to happen in the rural communities and small towns to create the environment for sustainable economic development and job creation. So in addition to the fact that we're creating all these new entities, new divisions in state government, a new private nonprofit partnership, etc., it's going to take 6 months to a year for these entities to get up to any kind of viable operational status. Meanwhile, there's just a complete vacuum. Everything else has been eliminated. The regional economic, the bill we're voting on in the Senate this morning, the economic development modifications even ramps up the funding, ending the funding for the regional economic development commissions to December from June, which was what was in the budget. Even shortens that time period. And there's no way in 6 months all these entities can be up and running at full capacity, staffed, and build relationships and networks to replace this network that has been in existence. I'm not suggesting that some change wouldn't be good and some of these new proposals wouldn't be helpful, but to create a vacuum between what's now and what is to be created, I think sets us back in areas of the state where we have some of the highest unemployment on record at any time. I'm from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We have the highest unemployment in the state in our metropolitan statistical area. And in all the counties I represent are significant high unemployment areas. So we are being, all our mediating and capacity building entities are being shut down, have already been shut down with the budget that just ended on June 30th. And then now we're in a holding pattern with projects on hold, projects stopped, important professionals in our community who had the relationships and the expertise and the track record to help move projects forward are now having to reshuffle, dismantle organizations, reshift their focus. So that's all shut down, waiting for whatever may come in January or whenever it may come from Raleigh to help us. And jobs and economic development cannot all be done from Raleigh. That is going backwards. All the research I've seen indicates that capacity building and civic engagement and public engagement in communities is one of the most important factors of economic development. We have to be a part of that. It cannot be done to us and for us. We have to be a part of that process, and we now don't have a way in. I don't see a door in. And just thinking about the CDBG component, even though, and this is where it's complicated, because even though they're shifting these funds to what they would say is a laser focus on jobs and economic development, where everything has to be funded in a focus of what jobs is created directly, it misses the boat that these people we want to have jobs have got to have somewhere to live, have got to have communities to be in, and these companies that are going to come and hire them have to be in these communities that will be dilapidated and not improving at the same time that we want jobs created. So it is that miss that we cannot get them to hear, that there is an important role of capacity building and economic development and community development alongside job development that is important. And I think that is a miss, and in the year ahead we will see the negative consequences.